name's Adelaine Williams, and I'm going to be introducing the concept of NGO accountability. I'm a PhD student from De Montfort University in England, and for the past year and a half I've been working in conjunction with a local Ugandan NGO called Uganda Youth Development Link, or UDEL. To get us started, we probably need to get a common idea of what we mean by NGO before we move on to NGO accountability. The term NGO is not the most useful term ever, but it is commonly used. In reality, a NGO is defined by what it is not. An NGO can be pretty much anything except a governmental organisation, hence the term non-governmental organisation. Technically, this means that McDonald's could be considered an NGO. But when we use the term, we generally are referring to what people think of as charities or not-for-profit organisations. I don't want to get too caught up in discussing what is meant by an NGO, as it's a debate that could take all day. Basically, NGOs have a common goal that tries to make a change. This might be practical developmental change, for instance building schools, roads, water or sanitation structures, or this might be more a subjective change, i.e. change in attitudes, change in beliefs, or advocacy for a common cause. It should be noted that different authors have created various different subcategories of NGOs. Locally based NGOs are sometimes referred to as community-based organisations or CBOs. NGOs are often regarded as being part of civil society, thus they are sometimes placed within the broader category of civil society organisations or CSOs. To save confusion, I stay away from all of these terms. The only differentiation I make is for large international NGOs that are usually based in the developed north and which operate in multiple countries. I call these organisations international NGOs or INGOs. Okay, let's get moving. Now we can start on accountability. Accountability is a term with its roots in various different contexts and disciplines all around the world. It's not a new term, but one that is widely debated. Mulgan 2000 highlights that accountability is a complex and chameleon-like term. Newell and Bowell says it's become a malleable and often nebulous concept, with connotations that change in context and agenda. Okay, so what does this mean for you as practitioners? It means that you will be expected to understand what lots of people think accountability is. And you may be talking about one thing and they will be talking about quite a different. Lack of agreement on accountability is possibly what makes it one of the hardest things to manage. One thing that people tend to generally agree upon is that it's got something to do with responsibility. Cronin and O'Regan state that accountability entails the duty to provide an account or reckoning of those actions for which one is held responsible. Okay, imagine that you have one actor that has the responsibility to do something. Then you have another actor who has the power to make the first account for their actions. Accountability is really about how one actor holds the other to account. As Fox and Brown put it, it is the process of holding actors responsible for their actions. It's really important to highlight that accountability is all about the how, but we'll come back to this later. The fact that one actor can call another to account implies that there's some kind of power relationship. Kilby highlights that by defining the lines and directions of accountability, the distribution of power is also defined. I believe when people think about accountability, they usually think about how you demonstrate responsibility, accounts and reports, etc. I would argue it should also be about how you ensure responsibility. The following examples will help me explain. Okay, let's start by thinking about a fictional NGO called NGOA. NGOA is really liked by the community. They do skills training, they help individuals start up businesses, and they offer counselling and advice to young people. They work closely with the community and have a good community reputation. Now, do you think this NGO is responsible? Maybe so. But now if I tell you that they have no idea of how much money they were given or how much money they have spent. They have no records to share with anyone, you just have to trust them. Also, NGOA does not know how many people it's helped or what the impact of its projects are. Now again, I'd ask you, do you think this NGO is responsible? Probably not. NGOA cannot demonstrate that it is acting responsibly. Okay, now let's compare NGO A to NGO X. NGO X knows exactly how much money it was given and exactly how this money was spent. They have perfect records and accounts which are available for anybody to see. NGO X knows exactly how many people it's helped. Do you think this NGO is responsible? Maybe so. What if now I tell you that the activities of NGO X were decided on purely by the dreams of one man? He raised $1 million and decided that the best way to help the people of Uganda come out of poverty was to buy everybody an umbrella. This individual had never been to Uganda before. He did no research and talked to no Ugandans. Now do you think this NGO is responsible? NGO X had no way to ensure that it was acting responsibly. Accountability is actually very interlinked with the idea of creating good practice and ways of working, ways of ensuring that beneficiaries and participants are involved with NGO decision making. There are many accountability mechanisms that recognise the importance of this, but we can discuss this at a later stage. My definition of accountability is how you ensure and demonstrate responsibility.